Hi.
Hello. Hi. Namaste.
Namaste. Hello, world.
Hello.
Me and India are live. I'm from Seattle right now. How are you guys doing?
Yes.
We are trying to make this interview happen, but we have some technical issues, and that's always fun. So while we're having technical issues, I'm just going to talk to you guys and tell you all about stuff. And we have so many projects that we want to tell you guys about. And I can also show you how it looks like when you have like thoughts and you can't keep them inside your mind. You have to make papers. We have a lot of papers and projects like that.
Wow,
And
it is beautiful.
yeah, and because we need help to figure it all out so we can help even more people, we're inviting a lot of different people from all over the world. And keeping track of time can be an issue for some of us. So I wasn't entirely sure what time we needed to be live, and now we're waiting for someone. But I'm just telling you about why we're doing it, because we don't want anybody just to sit and wait. Waiting is not good. So I want to tell you something that happened today when I was trying to come up with what I was going to talk to this person that we all really want to talk to about.
Yes.
Free will, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk to him about what that means to him, because he's been writing books about it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sometimes I think free will are just, it's just a fraction of time where you change your whole life because you make a different choice. But maybe you don't make that choice because you're fearful. And do you really have a choice then if you have no tools to overcome fear? I
Yes.
lived a long time not doing a lot of things I wanted to do because I was fearful. And so today I spent a little time figuring out, I call them like conceptual words.
Yes.
And fear is such a thing. In the dictionary I found, there was like so many different definitions of how you can feel.
Yeah.
And you know what the crazy part is? There's only
Yeah.
two on the opposite.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's an easy fix, isn't it? We just need
Yes.
to fix the fear,
Yes, ma'am.
and then we can be calm and confident, all of us.
Wow.
Oh, one of the guys that I'm trying to make, like, I'm trying to own people to
Yeah.
drag them into this change that we want to make. And some of those people are warriors, big, strong warriors who like fight. They fight each other and they love each other and they treat each other like brothers. And when I'm looking from the outside in, I want that. But I'm just this tiny little person. How can I want? So I set up some
Yeah.
interesting, I hope that other people might find that too. Different conversation with big, strong, intimidating men. Because I think they can help us pass fear.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Do you have any fears you want to talk about, Aman?
Yes, ma'am. I have some fears. Like sometimes I feel fear in expressing myself, in letting my emotions in front of people. Yeah, I'm afraid of being rejected as well. Yes, ma'am. These are some fears that I have identified so far.
Yeah. Have you still the fears or have you overcome them in some way?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, ma'am, there are many kinds of fears. So some of those fears, I'm like utilizing them for my better. Like fear relevant to my work. I use that fear to enhance my productivity and creativity. And but some of those fears are like putting strong labels on me. That is like having a great weightage. That is putting me down. So these fears are like fear of rejection. I'm being afraid of being rejected by people. In terms of when I express myself, and yeah, even I'm afraid of expressing myself, letting my emotions out, putting my emotions in front of others people, and yes, ma'am. So these are the fears that I'm fighting with.
Yeah. So the fear of being vulnerable in front of other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a vulnerable soul?
Yes, ma'am. I really don't know about that, but yeah, this is the fear.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I feel like a freak in the world because I can't be open-hearted and vulnerable. It's like it's not allowed in the world, so it's harder to express your feelings. And also, I think it's a tool that we lack because of condition. I know my culture is very different from your culture, but nobody taught me how to be a joyful, happy person when I was a child. They gave me other tools like reading and writing,
Yes.
and I like those, but I would have liked the other tools before that, I think.
Yes.
So one of the things that you and I talk about is the goals of the UN.
Yes.
And in there there's definitely this thriving for humans where we agree that we need some tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like this journey where we open up and we connect with people who feel like we do and are actually vulnerable. I think
Yeah.
that's super interesting because it is a weird conversation to have standing in front of people, and I think all of us feel we don't really like to be rejected,
Yes.
but we also are fearful in
Yes.
being authentically ourselves in front of people because, and I think that what comes after the because, that is different for all people.
Yes.
And also I believe in my culture that some of that is from religion. Like it's not okay to be proud in yourself and be arrogant about you're good at things, and that means you shouldn't think, shouldn't brag about yourself. So you have to hold yourself in. You can't shine brightly and just be you, because there's
Yes.
like specific social rules in play that we all probably agree that we don't really need anymore, but they're still there and we're conditioned by them.
Yes, ma'am, it is very true. We function as per the tradition that has been created by people no smarter than us. So we are just following that. We are just functioning in that way. And even we can say that it is going on autopilot.
Yeah.
And even we are not questioning it. When we will question it, then we will come with something better, a better option for 21st century that we can apply and thrive actually. But most of us afraid to embrace change because we think that change is something like we are going to feel loneliness, or change is something harmful, change is full of struggle. but people don't focus on the bright side of any change. So yes, ma'am, this is also a part that is need of the time that we should put in light.
Yeah, I think that the thing we're trying to do, find, I feel like I'm just doing it for me and for you, and then whoever benefits from it down the road, that will be really, really joyful. And when I'm sitting down talking to people what it is I really want to do, I don't really need to go so, I don't spend so much time in the past, because depending on what culture you come from, we all have so much hurt.
Yes,
Like, it's unbelievable amount of hurt that we have collectively as a species.
yes,
And so in a way, it's really difficult to move forward if we have to keep going back. I
yes.
think that we need one day of chill out, deep breathing, and reflection on what it is that we want to accomplish and thrive on, like how it is we want to thrive in the future. It would
Yes,
be nice to see that we could let go of blaming.
yes, and embracing ownership.
Yeah. So that means we need to teach people to overcome fear,
Yes,
because fear is what stops us all from evolving.
yes, ma'am. Fear of the unknown is one of the most common cause for people's resistance to change. And we have been pushed to believe that the unknown is a chaotic, frightening palace to be like that is full of terrible and horrible things. However, I believe that it is a palace of great creativity and possibilities. So, like everyone should think beyond that, beyond the horizon.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Because it's I work with a lot of kids, and I love seeing them losing their fear because other kids are showing them the way, and also showing them that the fear they have is, um, it's good that they have it. They make them cautious, but don't let it stop you from learning how to do the activity in a safe and fun and entertaining way. If we're talking about anything that
Yes,
challenge you, like physically. And I believe that you can, if you are teaching people to be good at being fearful and giving them joy when they feel that, ooh, that rush to recognize that something important is going to happen now. Like, it's
yeah,
not a bad thing that you can feel your body reacting to your reality. It's not bad at all. It's really good.
yes,
But somehow we've been taught that that emotion, we have to like stop what we're doing. That's the path of least resistance for the brain.
yes,
Yeah. And if we're really conditioned by thinking, we will have that signal all the time, especially when we meet something we don't know. That means every person we never met is like potentially like, ooh, in some cultures, right?
yeah,
Like, we don't see beyond the differences we have because we forgot to teach about all the common things we have, like everything we have in common, all the good stuff we have in common.
yes,
Yeah. So I'm excited for this work, Aman. Are you excited?
yes, ma'am. I'm super excited.
So we have been talking about making ambassadors around the world so people can go into their own cultures and
Yes,
maybe do some fun stuff. And maybe they can work on a feeling of togetherness instead of what else they have going on.
yes, and ma'am, even like we can think like we have a packet of seed. seed of many kind of flowers, and like we are just planting those seed all around the world, and people are blooming where they are planted. People are spreading their love, joy, happiness, compassion, peace, gratefulness, thankfulness, and many other kind of energies. So,
Exactly.
yeah, they are adding values in their society. They are we can say radiating love in their surroundings.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we have a the opportunity for the ambassadors to get like business cards that we can make if they want to be part of a movement where they actually go out and make a visible difference in their own community. So, and they want to be part of what we're doing, call us up and let us know. So we can
Yes,
see the change just like physically in the world where people do stuff. And we have so many creative thinkers in the world. What can one person do that would be fun and joyful for a lot of other people?
yes.
Yeah, I think we should have like a file. People should, all of you guys that are watching, hopefully, or none at all. I don't know. It's just fun being here and talking about it and knowing that it's going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes,
In,
ma'am.
in, I painted a sign and then I went out to parks and I played with kids and I talked to the grown ups about being joyful and helping kids doing stuff when they were fearful about it. And I talked to more and more people. They got more and more involved, and it's just fun and it's grown. It's fun. I have people that want to do business with me. It's so easy to do. You just show up and be you. Bring some joy, bring some fun, and then the opportunities will come to you.
Yes.
It's not hard. And then help us fix the world, basically, right? So we
Yes,
can
ma'am.
take a day where we just relax and we chill and we remember that the blaming has never done anybody any good in any situation.
Yes.
Even for your self accountability, if you blame other people for how everything around you is, it's just going to stay the same.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
And so if you really want to see a change, you got to have to be the one that's doing it.
Yes.
So we will have like ambassadors all over the world spreading joy in connection with scientists and people who know way more than I do about all
Yes.
of the things that I think I know a lot about, but I think I know them because I changed a lot in my life, and that gives me wisdom.
Yes.
I will gladly share it, and I find people who gladly share their wisdom, and we build it on that. I think our
Yes.
new educational system is sharing wisdom. And my wisdom is to live calm and confident, and have to let go of fear.
Wow.
Whatever it is, whatever that fear is, it's holding you back.
Yes.
And since I'm a chef and a head chef of that, I have some different energies available to me than most people feel confident in carrying. Let's call it that. But I know people who gladly will carry calm, confident fear and
Yes.
and teach all of us how to overcome it and move through it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm gonna just do a little thinking about why we're not getting this guy online.
And yeah, we
Oh,
get Michelle with us.
he says that he's on.
Yeah, we get Michelle right now. He's joining us.
Are you
So
kidding
I'm
me? Like right now?
yeah. So should I add him?
Yeah, let's talk to Michael.
Okay.
Thank you for entertaining me, Aman.
Yeah. Thank you so
Are
much,
you
ma'am. See you
staying or
soon.
are you gonna say goodbye? Hi,
Ma'am,
hello.
ma'am, I'm going to say goodbye. Hi, Michael. Hello.
Aloha, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And you?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
Yeah, so have a great conversation with Karina, ma'am. So yeah, actually, I have to go. I have to manage some technical things. So yes, you guys can continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Namaste, Aman.
Namaste. Namaste.
Aloha, Michael.
Aloha, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well, thanks.
That's awesome. I just had a talk with Aman because we got time confused. So we
Uh-huh.
went on live before time, not before any time, but just we've been having a conversation about free will. And
Awesome.
here you are. You can talk to us about free will a lot, right?
It's probably my favorite topic of discussion.
Is it?
Um,
I'm going to find some peace and quiet and sit down.
okay.
Talk to me while I walk.
Okay. I believe that free will is our greatest gift outside of just existing in the first place. It really is a matter of our ability to be aware. And through our consciousness, we have some basic functions, including, I believe, the primary function of communication. We have the function of perception, and then we have this really great ability called creation. So we can use all of the raw data that's coming into our bodies, which is just energy. And there's of course different forms of energy. When we are receptive to becoming more aware, and we don't put up the resistors that fear can cause, then we receive that raw data and then we begin to process it. We process it by using our emotions, the thoughts that pop into our head, as well as feelings that just kind of mix it all up together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that it's possible for a person who suffers from fear to feel that they have a free will over that?
Sure. The whole thing with free will is that if if you begin, let's say, your research on any topic, and in this case, free will, if you start with the premise that anything is possible, then you're putting yourself in a position that I call a 0 point energy. And from that 0 point energy, it's your point of origin. You can ask questions that include, why does it exist? Ask that question first, and then you can ask all the other, the who, what, when, where, and hows. So with free will, the beginning of understanding how it works is starting with anything is possible. If I ask somebody, do you believe that anything is possible? Let me ask you, do you believe that anything is possible?
Yes.
Okay. So,
I said with like hesitation because there is a reality that like I can't fly if I'm awake
okay.
and in the physical realm, but I know that I can lucid dream and I'm really good at flying. So in a way,
Right.
everything is possible.
Okay. So there's there's different ways to answer that question. Sometimes I'll ask that question and I'll get an emphatic yes, anything is possible. Other times people will think about it, they'll say yes, but then they qualify the yes like you did, which is perfectly fine. Other people will say no. They have like their level of belief is that they are existing somehow in a reality that they have no free will.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's different beliefs, and one of the things that I've come to understand regarding beliefs is that there's really no such thing as a disbelief or a non-belief. There's just beliefs. So for example, if you believe that anything is possible without any qualifications, for example, you said that you believe anything is possible except you can't fly in the physical realm. Well, if you take that belief of anything is possible and change the of I have not yet learned how to fly, then you're going to place your consciousness in a position to where all you really need to do is figure out how. So
And
you're
like
uh-huh.
already know I was wrong, because I was thinking now that you can fly kites and
Well, there's really not it's really not about right or wrong either, because when you say that you're wrong about something, then you're negating that previously held belief. One of the things that I learned about beliefs came from a discussion about a year and a half ago, actually about 17 months ago, with a friend of mine that I've known since we were 8 years old. His name is Wakar, and he's brilliant. He's a pure determinist, which means he does not believe that free will exists. He's very logical. He's very mathematical, and believes that math is the purest form of language. So what I did was I took my previously held belief that free will is all that there is and listened to what he had to say. His understanding was that he will be able to prove that pure determinism is our reality, which means that everything that you think, everything that you do, everything that you say, you're basically just playing a part in this cosmic play. So he believes that. When I asked him if he believes in God, he says, I think God exists, but I'm not ready to believe it. So with a logical, rational human, when it comes down to believing in something that is of a spiritual nature, more often than not, these people are going to be stuck in their own belief system, because what they do is they limit access to the intuitive part of their mind, which is where you have all of these other feelings. So his teachings resonated with me because he told me that beliefs are paradoxical because they're only partially true. So what I did was I understood already about paradoxes, because I had been stuck in I'm going to call it the paradox of Buddhism for many years, like 25 years. And how that happened was I'm a recovering drug addict. So I got clean in July 6th of 1995. And the first couple of years of getting off of drugs and alcohol, I was very depressed. I severe depression, like dark, like did not want to exist. Didn't want to kill myself, because I didn't want to put my parents through any trauma, but I really did not want to live at all. So I studied Buddhism, and I understood that if we become attached to something, then we will suffer because of that attachment. So the attachment creates desires, and then the desire for something that you have these expectations of certain feelings become a form of suffering. So then I thought, okay, well, all I need to do is no longer be attached to anything. So I started practicing that thinking. And I didn't realize, because I also have obsessive compulsive disorder and ADHD, that
You are so
I was yeah, it's funny because I really view these as gifts. They're not disorders, they're conditions.
Yeah.
And they're ways of better understanding. So with the Buddhism paradox, it was funny because I believed in it. I believed that if I could become detached from everything, then I will no longer suffer. Well, be careful what you wish for, because when you detach yourself from everything, you are not receiving any of the energy. So then you basically, this is really what depression is. It's not anything other than a place where you are positioned for reacceptance, reconciliation, and absolving everything, but you start with nothing. So I didn't realize at the time that I was actually researching nothing, nothingness.
Yeah.
So what I did was I put that paradox on in the back of my mind and became familiar with Taoism, where with Taoism it's more about the yin and yang, the flow. The Tao is the way of becoming more aware, whereas Buddhism is centered around this idea of enlightenment. Well, what I realized is there's no final destination with either of these philosophies. There is only the expansion of awareness. So as you become more aware of why suffering exists, remember, when you ask the question why something exists and you discover the answer, then you can figure out all the who, what, when, and wheres. So with Buddhism, what I learned was that suffering exists and is necessary only until it's no longer necessary. So I no longer suffer. Now, do I experience pain? Yes, absolutely, because pain is part of our reality. However, going back to the premise of free will, with free will, everything is about perception. So you start with the perception of, let's say, suffering. And if you, for example, view your experience in a way that you think that you're being punished, then yeah, you're going to suffer, because you've determined that you deserve to suffer. So what we really are doing with our feelings is using them as navigational guides. So if we can understand that and trust our feelings and pay attention to how we are currently feeling, then what happens is we become more aware by accepting the truth in light being sound. So everything is a matter of each sentient being's ability to perceive their reality in a way that makes sense to them. So most people today have been conditioned, and humanity has been conditioned for thousands of years to only believe what you see and always do what you're told. That requires one or two at the most of our 8 senses. So it's really interesting, and I'm so grateful and happy to be alive currently, because this whole great awakening and transformation of the collective consciousness began in the year 2020, which will become known as year 0. And it's really, right now, the battle is inside of us. It's eternal and it's internal, and there is only one lesson that we are being taught through our experiences. Everything that we experience is a test of faith, and the lesson is the same: love all.
Yeah.
It's really not
It's
anything.
not that hard.
It's not. It's only as complicated as we make it. So if I ask somebody, do you love all? They'll sometimes say yes, I suppose, but they'll say, yeah, but what about X, Y, and Z? Well, you don't have to like certain actions or certain people or things that occur, because part of the processing of the information, like we said, is sometimes painful. There's plenty of horrific and terrible things that are occurring in the world right now.
And
But
there has always been that.
yes, so evil does exist. So a lot of spiritual people will say, well, evil is just an illusion, it's man-made, da 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 da. Well, yeah, there's some truth to that. However, there's no denying that people suffer. People suffer every day.
Yeah, they do. I think a lot of it, though, can be momentarily forgotten if you practice your brain in a different kind of mindset.
Yes.
And I think that suffering for most people are self-inflicted choices.
Yes, that is correct.
And I think it's interesting for me because I realized that for myself, and I'm using that to like hack how the heck did I get out of that situation, and what I think will work for others too. And I love this process of creating a educational tool for people to lose their fear. And I honestly believe that we collectively as a species need to do that and take a step back and take a deep breath and then recognize that fear is a lot of things for a lot of people. But the opposite of that is not that hard to gain, really, if you got some tools. And these tools, I think, collectively, we should teach all the people who want to get these tools. And we need
Has
to
to be
have
willing.
them. So it's not going to be 7 years of sitting on a mountain finding your inner peace, but that is what we want to find. I, however, think that we need to find our inner children.
Yes.
Because I think we need to go play and be silly and be free of conditioned thinking and have intellectual people that know about this movement and how it makes you feel when you make other people joyful, how it's a ripple effect that can heal you. And then you don't really need to do much else than just breathe. And things will get better. And I collectively think,
I collectively believe on the behalf of all humanity that will benefit us all.
Yes.
Deep breath where we all collectively decide to stop with the fear and the blaming. What we have is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fix it. But let's
Yes.
not fix it by blaming. Because I think that's the free will can feel like it's been taken away from you. If you keep with your conditioned mind. I keep having this thought about free will. Do you really have it if you don't use it and take it and know what you can use it for? But I really do believe that a lot of humans never ask themselves the question what free will is. Oh, and here's the person I really want to talk to. Michael, this is Belton. Hi, Belton. Welcome.
How you doing?
Namaste. I'm doing great.
Good.
Aloha, Belton.
Hey, half a day. Aloha.
We're having a conversation about free will.
About free will?
Yeah.
Okay. And what? I think that's kind of a loosely thrown around word nowadays. So,
Yes.
the word free, the freedom, free. It's amazing. I just came from the fights over in Spokane at Northern Quest Casino and Resort, and it was a celebration of just. I mean, people were. They did a tribal dance for one of the fighters who was native, and I talked to some of the staff. They said, we want life to go on, so we're hosting fights, we're celebrating warriors, and no one had a mask on. And I'm not here to discuss politics with people, but it felt normal. It was weird. It was weird and good.
That's nice.
A good weird.
A good weird, because it's not the new norm. It's the regular norm. There's
It's
hundreds
free.
and
It's free will.
exactly. And so, it was nice to be there. Montana had the same thing. And then now we've got venues coming up and grappling competitions this weekend, and limited capacity. Families and friends can't watch. I think Emerald Queen Casino took a stance and said that if you don't watch fighters, because I got fighters in that car, that you have to be vaccinated to enter the venue. It's like, okay. So, the gym is my academy is where things are normal, where kids laugh and run and play and, throw each other around and punch and kick and embrace a warrior spirit. But out here, sometimes I just want to scuttle over to the gym and scuttle home, because the adopted mindset of some people is not exactly where I'm at. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, free will.
So do you want to tell people who you are?
I'm actually on my way to my gym. So I'm an owner of a martial arts academy. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, Filipino Kali knife. So I teach knife fighting, combat sports and combat arts. So either for the sport aspect or for military, police, or different guys and girls who use this for combat, however that's used, via military or personal interest and whatnot. So self-defense, etc. Some other minor arts, but not enough for me to throw up there on the wall. But I still dabble in it. I'm always a student, always learning. So yeah, it's about. I'm in Bellevue. I live. Is my academy. So
yeah, we are in Washington. Michael is in Hawaii. We have Aman. He's from out of India. But yeah, so I went actually to Belton's academy.
You're in Hawaii?
Yes.
Michael, you're in Hawaii?
Yes. I'm from California.
Man, my sister's in Kapolei, and I mean, Governor Ige. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really it's getting really weird out here. My wife was born on Oahu, and then her family moved to the Los Angeles area, and I'm from Southern California, near Los Angeles. We moved
Okay.
to Hawaii Christmas Day 2009, and it's getting a little contentious here. They're talking, they just restrictions. You can only have gatherings of 10 people, so that means
Yeah.
no weddings or even funerals. You cannot have outside gatherings of more than 25 people. And the governor is talking about vaccination passes, which would
Yeah.
prohibit you from entering restaurants and other places of business. So um, it's getting a little strange out here. And my daughter is a senior in high school. She goes to Mililani High,
Oh, okay.
and so far, the teachers all had to get vaxxed, and
Yeah.
the athletes, the student athletes, had to get vaxxed. So I'm sure that uh, they really want everybody to get vaxxed, and the lieutenant governor, um, Josh Green, who is a physician, but he's running for governor and received millions of dollars for campaign funds from Pfizer. So there's a lot of just a lot of things that are getting really sticky here, and it all comes down to free will. So this whole idea of shaming people for not being vaxxed, when it's becoming evident that the ones that are getting vaxxed are passing along the spike protein, which are making people sick. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting time in not just the United States, but the entire
All over
world. There's a
the
lot.
world.
Yeah, Australia is under severe restrictions and mandatory vaccinations, and
Yeah.
even forcing people to get vaxxed. So
So
this
one of
is
the things Aman and I are trying to do is, for one, change the subject to something that's not about this.
sure.
Then to try to create a conversation about what you can use your free will to, and what it actually means to be a human and have some free will,
Right.
and what you can do to get rid of your fear. Because most of what I see in people not exercising their right to use their free will is just a little tiny bit of fear. And
It's yes.
when you look up what fear is in the dictionary, it's just an emotion. It's just a feeling you have, and it's based on conceptual word that it all of these bad things are going to happen now. And when I went to Bolton's gym yesterday, I talked to I want to call them warrior men. These are the guys that make people in the right setting feel really, really safe. Like they bring the calm confidence of I got this, because they are not scared. They are, but they know how to utilize that for good.
Yes. Fear is a very useful means of communication. It's how the universe gets your attention so that you can focus on the lesson that's going to be taught. So if you ignore the fear, or ignore the pain, and you disregard it, and you don't trust those feelings, then you are only putting off what will come back to you through karma. I studied Aikido years ago for about a year, so I do understand the value of teaching martial arts, the discipline that it takes, the focus, and the energy, and your ability to harness the energy and use it for peacefulness. It's really more about expressing your free will through your body and mind and spirit, so that you create the harmony and the unity. So yeah, I totally agree, and I understand what you're saying in regards to fear. And what's funny, or maybe ironic, is that nowadays people seem to be more afraid of what other people think of them than they are of dying, which I find fascinating. I really just am amazed and laugh at how people are living in fear.
Yeah.
It's not that
But I think that we are so conditioned to live in fear. It's like put upon people all the time through media, through the like division with like it's I think it's so common and accepted because we all put some kind of fear into each other when we judge each other, when we're not even accepting other people not liking us. It's a kind of a fear for not being accepted.
yes.
I actually believe that we can intimidate people into losing their fear.
I like the word influence. When we
Yeah,
when we if
there's a reason why I'm using the other word, because I think that if you willingly go into an educational situation where you, for instance, is facing with a big warrior, but you know that you can lean in his confidence and his confidence and in his
Mhm.
calmness to teach you what you need to learn, you for like maybe for a little tiny bit of a time get to adapt what he
I
can
think
teach you.
I think for me, having been on both sides of that spectrum, I have put fear in people, and I have feared people. So some of the places I've trained overseas, the situations I've been involved in, with real life scenarios, it it's I mean, I felt fear of actual death, you know, without getting too much detail. But when you're in another country and it's just you and another person with a knife out, that's fear, you know. But I've also turned the tables and put the fear in them, So understanding fear really helps when it comes to going back to your original topic of free will, So um, I think as a martial artist and understanding how fear works has has given me a little bit better, I don't know, you want to say better impact on how to teach others, because a lot of people live in fear, but I don't want to say instill fear, but understanding fear, because you're not going to walk around puffing your chest and I'm gonna make people fear me, because that's a bully. But when you go in a cage, like last night when my guy got locked up in a cage with another man, he had fear, but he also instilled fear, and it was a mutual combat. But that fear, when we knocked this guy down 3 different times, the tables got turned. And so if you can turn the tables where you walked in, because my guy was like, man, I was nervous, I was really nervous. He wiped away all his fear by instilling fear. It's, you know, I mean, you can use the word fear, you can use, I don't know, whatever word you want to use, but let's just say it is, let's call it for what it is, fear. So when you get knocked down, and then the second round, the guy came back and really put it to my guy. So it was a draw. The fight was a draw, and it was a good learning experience for my guy on some of the things that he needs to work on. Now, granted, that's a referee, because anytime you take a fight and you add one rule to it, it's a sport. So a real fight instills a different type of, it's a slightly a little different, when you're fearing for your life, you know, when I'm worrying about how I'm going to get home to my wife and kid from
yes.
overseas um, training situation. So, um, I think I forgot the author, but he wrote a book on that, um, a book on violence. He was I actually worked with him. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but I did a workshop with him, and he did a book on violence when he worked in the penitentiary and studied violent men and studied kind of the dark side of that, you know. So it was really interesting workshop, listening to them talk, and then us running through some drills. So you know, and fear comes in many forms. So yeah, I don't know, that's my two
Uh,
cents on that. I think for me as a quote unquote warrior, um, you know, when I look at situations, I have to look at it from how can I fight this head on, and what's my strategy, my tactics behind it, rather than cowering in fear. I start analyzing it, and when I understand that I could be on the other side of that equation too. I mean, you know, instead of fearing that situation, I can be strong, or you use that word intimidate, or you know, influence, or how, whatever suits, you know, how you want to express it. Then it becomes more of a task that I need to complete, rather than, you know, how am I going to get around this, rather than going, oh my gosh, I'm fearing for my life, or I'm scared. Well, what are you scared of? Okay, I'm scared of this. Okay, let's understand that. What is that? Oh, it's just that. Oh, okay. He's a human too. I can knock him out. Oh, or blah blah blah. Or you know, it's misinformation. That's why I'm
Hmm.
fearful. There's misinformation. Well,
Yes.
understand the information, and when you understand it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's just so much BS. What was I scared of? That's just my 2 cents.
Do you
That's
think that
awesome.
the teaching of fear is transferring into other lines of your life? If you learn how to fear something that you were fearful for, can you like use that in your life for different things you're also fearful for?
I do, because that fear changes. It's not a fear anymore. It's respect. It's respect for the thing. I can respect my opponent. I can respect. I can respect a bad man. I can respect a bad guy, and go. You know what? That is a very bad person. I respect how he how he utilizes his in such an evil way. Not that I promote that, or you know, applaud that, but more like, okay, I see what you did there. Kind of like a little head nod. Okay, but you're not going to get me. You know, I see what you're doing. You know, so I think fear sometimes turns to respect for the thing, and not an admiration and respect, but more like an acknowledgement, and an acknowledgement of understanding what the fear really was. You know, and understanding fear, and then understanding trauma, and understanding the neurological connections you make. You want to make sure that that doesn't attach to your, you know, to your brain, and attach emotion and brain and make neural connections, because I don't want that part of me. I don't want training scars. I don't want to create bad habits. I don't want to create anything that I'm going to respond to where it's not going to benefit me or the people around me. So yeah, I think you can change fear to respect and an understanding rather than fear. You know. So I don't like heights, but you know what's crazy? I'll jump off a 30-foot cliff because I like to face my fear. Then I get this weird adrenaline rush, and I'm like, that wasn't so bad. But I'll still stand on the edge, going, ugh. You know, I
You
don't like
respect it.
electricity. Yeah, I respect it. I don't like electricity, but I just had the Bellevue PD guy come over with a shock knife, and then he shocked me, and we started stabbing each other with a shock knife because because I wanted to understand and respect the knife, the blade, because you can train with a training knife. It's just a piece of plastic stabbing you, but when you get zapped with so many volts, oh my God, you treat that object with much more respect. I'm not just gonna play around with all these moves and go, oh, I'll just it nick me here, nick me there, and then grab the knife. It's more respect, you know. People fear the blade. I'll shoot knife fighting, and I'll touch a guy's neck or my student's neck with it, and they'll go, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "You need to understand the blade." So when I hold the blade like a firearm, I treat it with respect. I don't fear it. I treat it with respect. I don't grab it by the blade side. I grab it by the handle. I'm very cautious how I treat it. I don't just disregard it and just let it just, you know, flop it in my hand, because the moment I don't respect it, then I start to fear it. Then I cut myself, and then my fear is substantiated, then it's even stronger, and it's sealed in to my memory and to my heart, and then I start, you know, I start becoming more fearful of the blade. But you know, I love the blade. I love knife. You know, I love teaching it. And people say, you're so comfortable with the knife. You can probably find videos of me flipping a blade, you know, and with a live blade, and with ease. And people are like, oh my gosh, you're so good at that. I go, yeah, but I wasn't originally. I was scared of it. I mean, who wouldn't be scared of a knife? I mean, a live knife. So, I think that fear became respect. You know, I look at, so you can look at that example, and that really, if that makes sense. And I think I have a blade. Yep, I have a blade right here. See? That's my car. So, what I mean by that, this is a training blade, but even how I grab it and hold it, I treat it with respect. So I don't hold it by the edge. Right, here you go. I don't hold it by the edge. I treat it with respect. And people, and if this was a real blade, I wouldn't be cut because I treat it with respect. But let's say I'm a new person. Oh God. Oh shit. Whoa. This is scary. Here you go, sir. Get it back. I'm like, why are you scared of it? It's just a tool. Relax. So let me show you. Let me let you understand this thing. They're like, oh, that's kind of cool. So fear changes to respect and understanding.
Yeah.
Then it might even become a passion. I fear getting in the cage. I understand the cage. I understand MMA. I understand kickboxing, Muay Thai. Now I have a passion. Oh my God, I love fighting. People are like, you're crazy. You're crazy. Aren't you
And that
scared?
is true. You are a little crazy,
Yeah.
but in the most best way you can be that.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that would help understand taking the word fear and just really just flip flopping it into what's more appropriate once you put a little education behind it.
Yeah. And I've definitely loved going by your gym and seeing all the joy and the fun that's going on alongside with getting beat up and
Yeah.
laughing about it and having that understanding that there's nothing to fear when you get the tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
Yep.
joining us.
Yep. No problem. I've got to head out. I'm actually at my gym right now, so I have to go. So thank you.
I will come by later, I think.
Okay. All right.
Pleasure.
Captain Cup.
Namaste.
Aloha. My family's
Aloha.
from Kalihi, but I grew up in Guam. So little
Awesome.
islander.
Awesome.
See ya. Bye.
Bye, Bilson.
Peace.
And I think we could talk for hours, Michael. Free will. It's a very, very interesting concept, especially these times.
Yeah, it's great. I learned a lot just by listening to Belton for the few minutes that we had him in this chat. It's interesting because I understand about fighting and pain, and as a young kid, I was bullied a lot, and I got into a lot of fights. And I understand that when you face your fear, then don't you don't let the communication turn into a breakdown of communication and misunderstanding, where you become frustrated and angry, and then even enraged, because the cure for rage is courage. So when we face our fears and listen and feel what's actually occurring, then you expand your awareness because you better understand the other being.
Exactly.
So it's really about communication. After all is said and done, the one thing that everything has in common in this universe, both in the physical realm and the spiritual realm, is the action of motion. Everything changes, everything moves, everything is in this state of flux where there is changes currently happening. So when we better understand our existing point of communication, then we can give ourselves that break, become present in the moment, and communicate more effectively. Because what I learned from my research the past 16 months, but really started back when I was 3 years old, when I suffered an eye injury, I became aware in that moment. And I realized that feelings are the most effective form of communication in the universe. So math is a precise tool of measurement, and it's beautiful. And I can realize the actual duality of our existence is really just a series of ones and zeros. And it's no longer about good and evil, right and wrong, or even yes and no. It's more about consciousness and awareness, becoming and being, cause and effect. And this is how we better understand our reality.
Yeah.
Through the exercising of our free will, which, going back to my understanding of how feelings work, what I did was I believed in pure determinism for about a month and a half. I was able to make sense of reality from that point of view. And then I resolved that paradox by understanding that free will and determinism coexist. And I can prove that very simply because when somebody says, I can't do something, they are predetermining that reality. They have determined that they won't do it. Now, if somebody says, maybe so, maybe I can, maybe I will, and they're hemming and hawing, then they're playing that game of self-doubt. And it's fun to doubt yourself, because when you doubt yourself and you believe enough in the existence of the manifestation of whatever it is that you're thinking about, when it does finally come to pass and to be a part of your reality, then you, oh my gosh, I can manifest my own reality. So then that's when you start to realize that anything that you fear, doubt, or become anxious about can be resolved. It's really just a matter of taking the time to pay attention to how you're currently feeling and being present and aware, and just feel everything and use all of your senses. Use your basic 5: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. And then we have 3 spiritual senses that pertain to space, motion, and time. And you can use all of your senses, all 8 of them, or at least 3 or 4 at a time, very easily, and practice. But when you do that, you're trusting your feelings, and that requires faith, because you're trusting in something that you cannot measure. You can observe the effects of love, but love is not observable because it's immeasurable and infinite. So the most powerful energy in the universe is love. So when we learn to do that very simple task of loving all, then we become more aware, and we can tap into unlimited power and use that to influence others to do the same, to empower themselves.
Yeah.
So we don't have to rely on religion or governments or anybody else for that matter to save us, because we're already saved. The work's been done.
Yeah.
It's already been offered to us. The story of Adam and Eve is not about disobedience. It's about choosing to become human and using free will.
Yeah. I think it's such an interesting conversation. I think for what I want to contribute to the change that I want to see, teach people to love being fearful, and recognizing that it's a tool, and it's life knocking on your door to try to be experienced, and it is not something you should be scared of feeling. And I think later on today, I'm going to go talk to a bunch of warriors that can teach
Awesome.
me not to be fearful. I'm so
Awesome.
happy that you joined us, Michael. I hope that you will again another time.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I live for these conversations.
Yeah.
As a philosopher and writing about these things, this is how I learn. This is how I become more aware by having these sorts of conversations. So I really appreciate the time and the opportunity.
Thank you so much for taking both when they were presented.
Awesome.
Namaste.
All right. Namaste. Bye now.
Bye. So we have some work to do, all of us, but I'm going to go not be fearful today. I don't know about you. Yeah.